fellow gaijin.
Hey guys! We realize it's been a while since we've last vlogged. Sorry about that.
It's quite some time, and I apologize for the lighting. I meant to get here sooner, but we are filming from the light of our computer screens, so yeah, we don't really have any fancy lighting. We usually just rely on daylight, but
yeah, you've probably noticed that the background has changed a bit. Last time we vlogged, I was still living with my parents. That was my parents' house, but I've moved out, and this is my apartment.
But yeah, no, today we really wanted to talk to you a little bit about habits we picked up in Japan. Some of which we've kicked since then, mainly, but a lot of them I think kind of still persist with us today, you know? So I don't know, do you want to start us off, Christina? Or?
Sure!
Okay, let's do it.
So one thing that my host mother in particular said quite a bit was so, which is like, yeah, you know, translated into English. So when I came back, I don't think I kept this for too long. I still do it every once in a while, but like, you know, in casual conversation, I'll just be like, yeah.
Kind of like as a translation.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, no, Japanese definitely has like a lot of words like that where they're, you know, it's like a lot of affirmation words.
Right.
Don't you think? Yeah.
So, I don't do that too often anymore, but every once in a while you'll hear me go, yeah. So
now we know where it comes from.
Yeah, that's awesome. One thing I picked up.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, similarly, I think like something that I kind of picked up and brought back was the fact that Japanese people are very kind of active listeners, and that they want to like, they nod and like they'll make like little sounds like so, to like show that they're paying attention, that they're listening. And I definitely brought that back from Japan, I think. I don't know if I do it as much anymore. Maybe, I know I do it when I'm in like my Japanese classes in college, because I still take those because I'm minoring in Japanese. But yeah, even in an English conversation, especially when I got back at first, I would be doing a lot of yeah-ing, a lot of nodding, a lot of kind of ing, you know? And it's funny, you realize that a lot of American people around you don't do it, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Another one of mine is hazard lights. So one thing I noticed my first host father would do is when we're in the car and he'll like, you know, try to say thank you or like sorry to someone, if you like cut someone off or something like that, he'll flash his hazard lights once. And then the person behind them is like, oh yeah, okay, they're saying sorry or they're saying thank you. So I tried to bring that back to America, but like nobody understood what I was doing. So I was like, oh, okay. So I don't do it as often as I used to, but yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. You'd think that could be like a cool thing here, I feel like, you know? Like sometimes people will kind of like, you know, raise a hand like, oh, sorry, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't always even see that very well,
right.
And not everyone does it, so I mean, that could be a really cool thing.
Yeah, I think it would be great to implement.
Another habit that I definitely brought back from Japan is not ever really eating and standing or eating and walking. That's a big no-no in Japan. They're really against just eating and walking or eating and standing. It's a kind of it's rude there. I'm not sure why it culturally became rude, but it definitely is something that's just bad manners. It's not it's not something that, you know, I don't think anyone will yell at you about. Not that Japanese will, you know, people will often come up to you and yell at you in public anyway. But I mean, it's something that I definitely just hate to do anymore. I hate to not at least be sitting down while I'm eating.
That is a big thing that they do in Japan.
Absolutely.
It's like huge. Another one of mine is bowing. Like I don't nearly do it as often as I used to. I'm not sure if I do it anymore at all. But like when I like was crossing the road and there was a car waiting for me, I'd be like, you know, just like
yeah.
Do a little bow of the head. But yeah, I don't know, like it just became very habitual. Something I just would want to bow to people. I was like, wait, I'm not in Japan anymore. But that went away pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like nobody does it here, so.
Right. No, people don't really get what you're doing or why you're doing it. Yeah. One of those for me that like I think you said that this was very similar for you, but that a habit that was really, really ingrained in me that did go away pretty quickly, but was just like cleaning your plate. That's one huge thing in Japan, as it turns out, and you have to like eat as much of your food as you possibly can. I mean, they're to the point where like if there's a sauce on the dish, they will perfectly like time their food to like wipe a little bit of the sauce from the plate with every bite until at the end of the meal there's no sauce on the plate, which I realized maybe a couple months in. Yeah. I was like wondering why there was so much sauce on my plate, and now like I'm not on people around me, you know?
It's actually pretty impressive. Just like,
how
did you like, I don't know, it's crazy.
Oh yeah, or like a fish. Like I would have like a fish given to me by my host mother where there were, you know, all kinds of bones and things in it, and you basically have to like get the skin and the bones out of the fish with your chopsticks. And by the time I was done, I probably had like a huge pile of entrails, you know, and all of my host brothers and stuff would have like this teeny tiny little neat pile in like the corner of their plate. But anyway, the moral of the story is when I came back from Japan, for like about like I'd say a month afterward, it just felt so weird to me to not clean like every bit of my plate, you know, and to have so many people around me just not do that. It's not a thing here. Not like it is in Japan.
Yeah, when I first came back, I went to this fancy restaurant with my parents, and I ordered the chicken piccata. Everyone was just so, like, surprised that I finished everything on my plate, because it was like it was a pretty big plate, and, you know, I just barely came back from Japan, and I was like, no, I have to eat everything, so it was strange.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, the portion sizes aren't small in Japan like people think that they are.
No.
There's like some cultural myth out there that Japanese people eat so healthily and like they have teeny tiny little portion sizes and it's all vegetables and stuff. No. Maybe that was the case culturally before, but honestly, like the portions there were humongous and I don't know how they get through it all and are as small as most of them all are. I really don't.
Wasn't there also some kind of myth that, like, there are 3 gods in each grain of rice? Yes, and if you don't finish, like, each grain of rice, you're, like, missing those gods or something.
Right, you're, like, wasting 3 gods in each grain of rice, so that's part of where the whole cultural idea of you have to finish every bite is. That was something I definitely got in trouble with my host family.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, like, I remember there was one time, because one thing in Japan that I've noticed was that you can't, like, you can eat, like, the tail of the shrimp, which, you know, in America, we would never eat the tail of the shrimp. Like, we're talking, like, the actual crispy, crunchy shell tail of a shrimp. But in Japan, some people will eat it, some people won't. That's one of the few things that you have the option to eat or not to eat. So I noticed that was a thing, so I was like, okay, well, you know, that's something... I personally choose not to eat the tail of the shrimp. I think I did try it one time, and it was as crispy and terrible as you might have imagined. But one thing that I noticed was that my younger host brother, in the mornings, sometimes he wouldn't eat the crust of his toast. So I thought, you know, to myself, well, maybe that's just another thing in Japan that you don't have to eat necessarily. You know, the crust of your toast. That would make sense, possibly. Not everyone loves crust. So I decided, you know, in the mornings, well, I don't love crust on my toast, so maybe I'll just leave the crust on my toast too, you know? And turns out he was being very, very rude, and so was I.
Oh, no.
And one day, my host mother came in and she flipped out at me. And she was saying, you know, that because he had seen me leave the crust of my toast, that he had vowed to change his ways and never eat the crust of his toast. And I told her, you know, I actually started that because I saw him do it. So I thought it was the same as like the tail on a shrimp. So I thought it would be all right. Oh, but she did not. She was furious. And from that point on, I ate the crust of my toast and everything else. Everything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, my host family experience was completely different.
Yeah, we had a few altercations. Yeah, like a few disagreements, maybe, is better to say.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, they knew that I was American, so they were just like, if you can't finish it, it's fine. And I was like, okay, cool, because I cannot do it.
Yeah. No, I got pretty good at finishing most things pretty quickly, but I was never as good as the Japanese.
Oh.
Never.
No.
Never came close.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay, this might be too long, but I want to tell the story. There's also a rule in, like, that was actually, like, in the handbook guidelines of, like, my Japanese foreign exchange organization. You know, it wasn't yours because we had different Japanese organizations, but one of the rules was that if they found you like throwing away any part of a home packed meal that like your host mother had provided for you, that they like that you could get in serious trouble over like throwing away any part of that home packed meal. Oh yeah, like any bento. Yeah, so that was one of their rules. I don't know if I can't remember if it was like grounds for dismissal or,
Oh my
or what it was, but it was a huge deal. It's a big cultural thing there. I don't claim to understand how big of an offense that is, but it really is something. And I know I would see signs at restaurants that said, "Don't leave any food on your plate."
Oh my gosh!
Please. Oh yeah.
Where was I?
I don't know. I mean, it was only the last maybe couple months of my stay there that I was able to really read them and understand what they were saying. You know, maybe because of like the kanji.
Mm-hmm.
You might have seen them and not quite gotten it.
That makes sense.
Because who would think that there would be a sign at a restaurant saying, "Finish your food." You know?
Exactly.
Clean your plate. I mean, it's a different culture for sure.
All right, my last one is receiving and giving items with both hands. That is something that they do like all the time in Japan. So like if you were to hand someone, well, you wouldn't really hand someone your credit card. You put it in a little dish, but
typically speaking. But if you were to hand some,
right,
yeah,
you just give it with both hands.
And it's almost more of like a bow when you're accepting it too.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? But you give and receive with both
it's
hands.
Just,
No, it's pretty universal. It doesn't matter who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially if you're lower than the person you're giving it to, you know, you definitely want to like bow and like be really polite about it.
Right. So that's all the habits that we picked up when we were in Japan.
Yeah.
Most of them are gone right now because it has been like 3, maybe 4 years since we were there.
Around that, yeah. Gosh.
So.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few little things that I think we still retain to this day.
Right.
But I mean, it's an interesting way that the culture really affects you. I think it shows like what cultural habits are different between us and Japan.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you have studied abroad and have picked up some habits from where you studied, let us know.
Yeah, it would be interesting to hear what kind of cultural habits exist in other countries. Or if you're Japanese and have spent time in other countries too, like what cultural habits do you think you would pick up from, say, America if you studied abroad there, or any other countries too? It'd be interesting to hear it from the other perspective. All right, well, thank you for watching.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Currently reside. That's not what I wanted to say. Let me try again. Stop texting me!